Welcome! I'm excited. We got some new gear. Obviously, we have new mics, new headphones, new guests. Hello and welcome to the Process Over Profit podcast. Happy afternoon in Wilmington. It's supposed to rain later, but it's still sunny, so
It is right now.
I'm happy. So it's high energy. And I'm welcoming my guest, Rachel.
Coucoulas.
Coucoulas. Yes, I knew I was gonna butcher it.
That's
Butchering
okay.
it live.
I'm used to it. I am
She
used
told
to
me
that.
her name about 1 billion times before, and I was like, okay, I need to repeat this, and I'm gonna get it wrong anyway. Didn't, but you know, we're
you
having
knew.
fun. We're having fun.
You knew, and
I
that's
knew.
okay.
Yeah, okay.
I'm okay
It's
with
all,
it.
it's me. But
As I said, Savage was a lot easier.
saleswoman, mom, consultant, entrepreneur, ex-corporate America worker,
Yes.
dog owner, just a few of the titles that she has. High energy person, so this is gonna be a high energy podcast. I'm excited.
Bring it.
Two salespeople just chit chatting about sales and life and business, and so this should be really cool. Yeah, I'm excited. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I know I was supposed to be on a while ago.
Yeah, it's okay.
Sometimes those family things do get in the way,
Mhm.
but I am very happy to be here today.
Well, I'm happy to have you. Why don't we start out? I sort of prefaced here with some questions going into it, just to tell you how the format was of my podcast, but also I sort of went to free flow as
Yes.
well. But you can give us a little bit of background on you, so just our viewers and listeners can just, I guess, learn about you a little more.
Learn a
Yeah.
little bit why I have the ability to talk about sales.
Yeah.
Maybe
Or
yeah.
just chit chat with me about business in general. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've been around for a while. In 2005, I made a switch from technology into the home care industry, and I worked for an assisted living, a very large assisted living in the New York area. Um, it was an amazing company, had an amazing time. Um, some great stories about the residents that I met and I worked with. Some very funny things happen in assisted living. And I decided to make a move, and I moved into home care.
Hmm.
So I worked for a very dynamic company that was purchased by Humana. So I worked for, you can say, Humana through Senior Bridge, bringing care into the home for very complicated cases. And then I got tired of living in New York. My husband and I just said, don't want to do it anymore. And we showed up here in North Carolina. We live in Hampstead now. We're loving it. I was here for about a year, and Humana came back to me and said, we want you to be our national sales trainer. And I said, okay. And it was the most amazing job, and I traveled all over the country helping people become more successful in their sales styles.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
it
guess
was
the
a
next
lot of
question
fun.
to that is why senior care?
That's a
You know,
great
I'll
one.
get
Yeah.
to why sales later, but 'cause that's a different story. As yeah. Some people are born to be in sales, some people
Yes.
aren't. But why senior care?
I had been in technology for years, and I actually stayed home with my kids for a couple of years. And when I made that determination, I'm definitely a worker. I
Hmm.
love my kids. I love the time at home with them, but I knew I had to go back to work. But I wanted to do something more meaningful than secure somebody's computer or
Hmm.
make things run faster on technology. And I saw this job as the director of community relations for this assisted living. I saw it, I read it, it was meant to be, and I said, I have to do that. And from the day I sent my resume in, they called me on my birthday to interview me,
Mm,
and less than 2 weeks later, or just about 2 weeks later, I started.
that's
And
awesome.
yeah, I didn't know why, but I fell in love with it. And there's something about working with the seniors and their families, and it's wonderful. It's challenging.
Hmm. Hmm.
There could be a lot of complications, but it's meaningful. I guess that's the point.
Mm,
So
that's awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
I guess that's a good point, and that you want to do a job that was meaningful,
yeah,
and you also enjoy it too.
yeah. And I'll tell you, it was great for my kids. My daughter would come to work with me because I worked a split week. I worked Sunday to Thursday,
Hmm.
so every Sunday she was at the assisted living with me.
Mm.
Bring my dog, and he'd run
Yeah.
all around, eat all the food off the floor. He'd hop in
Yeah.
the elevator and go to the different floors and visit people. So it was a great time. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I guess the next question is why sales? I mean, you were born for it, or
Yes,
you just get into it, or
I was born for sales.
just a people person? You just like chit chatting.
Yeah, you know what? I think. Oh, I have a very small head.
Yeah, you're good. Well, yeah, adjust it when how you
um,
can. Yeah,
yeah. I have always been a problem solver. I love solving problems. I love puzzles. I love the bar puzzles, the metal things that you have to take apart.
yeah. Hmm.
And to me, sales is all about solving a problem.
Hmm.
And it was just a natural fit. I worked for years in the restaurant industry, so that interaction with people, and I knew all through college, even though I went to school and I have a degree in computer science.
Hmm.
Again, it's all about solving a problem, making that computer work. Um, but I never had the interest in being a coder, so I went into technology. I could understand technology, so I could speak to the layperson.
Hmm.
But it was sales all the way, all the time. Just a passion of mine.
Yeah. What have you learned about sales that you could sort of give it? If you had to define sales, I know you sort of mentioned that it's uh, solving puzzles.
It's solving a problem, yeah. Um, I would say that is the ultimate of what sales is. And
Hmm.
so many people go, oh, I couldn't do sales, I couldn't push it, or I'm just not a pushy person, and I
Hmm.
can't talk about things like that. And that to me is what bothers me so much about the whole concept of sales.
Mm-hmm.
In my world, sales should not be a bad word.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
the word
It's in
salesman,
everything. It's in everything.
you're not allowed
Yeah.
to use that word. It's a bad word, and I would love to be able to get out there and change the whole concept that it's not a bad word, and that we should be teaching this in schools and in universities. We should be teaching sales styles and theory of sales, because there's a theory to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all about solving the problem. It's all about asking the questions
Mm-hmm.
to understand what the client wants and provide them what they need.
Mm-hmm. How do you think, as salespeople, we can help that stereotype that sales is not fun, or that people don't think they're salespeople? Because sales isn't everything. Sales isn't everything.
Yes.
I know. I definitely have had my thoughts about sales. I don't want to sell things that I don't truly believe in.
That's a very good point.
And it just sometimes makes it harder. But also, like, hey, you need to make money.
Yes.
In your business, or you need to make a living, so you have to sell it anyway, even if some people would just have to do it. And it can be very lucrative too. But
Sure.
What are some ways that we as salespeople can help sort of break down the stereotype and help people understand that a little more?
I think it's going to be a long time before that happens. I think, again, educating about it, and having sales classes in college,
Mm-hmm.
so that as people are going through their school, they're understanding that sales really isn't that scary.
Mm-hmm.
I would almost put it in that same field of taking the public speaking class,
Mm-hmm.
where you're terrified of public speaking, and you take the class just so that you can get better at it. I think that's a same idea as sales.
Mm-hmm.
Sales can be lucrative, and it's going to be lucrative to those people that really know what they're doing and are selling the product appropriately. I
Mhm.
think when you said sometimes you just have to sell things you don't like. You might not like it, but if it's a good product and you trust it,
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
But you get that bad sales
Yeah.
rep when they don't trust the product, it's no good, and they just push it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is really where that bad sales
Comes down to
person
the
comes in.
commitment to the job. I would
Yes,
say.
yeah. You know,
And
having a product that people can trust.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of sales is research too, so it's not like you're going in blind.
No.
Like, even if you are a salesperson and maybe selling things you don't truly believe in, like, I don't know, me selling senior living, that might be a little bit harder in that I'm 24. But and the same side is people might they might hear my youthfulness on the phone, but I'm also calling people who are probably going to be hot and warmer leads anyway, because it's a lot of research that goes into it, which is not something that people think you're just blindly cold calling people, and truly you're probably not. You have a script. You're probably knowing the person's literally what they've looked at on your website if they're coming to a funnel, and so you have things that help you out.
Yeah, when you're working on those bigger sales and assisted living, home care, it's a very big sale.
Mm-hmm.
So it's absolutely not cold calling at all. Not the senior living kind of sales that I do.
Mm-hmm.
People are coming to me because I've built really great relationships with discharge planners, nurses, doctors, family members, community, so that when that tragedy does happen, they go, oh,
Mm-hmm.
who am I going to call? You know what? I know Rachel's going to be able to take care of me.
Ghostbusters.
Right, Ghostbusters. But you build that relationship, and they know who to call. And I think the big thing about really good salespeople is you are a problem solver, and even when it isn't your product to sell, you can be a resource.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really, really big part of becoming a great salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
I might not have the answer for the person referring me, but I'll give them to the right people that can.
Mm-hmm. And we spoke on the phone before the podcast. It was a while ago, but we talked sort of a little bit on the phone about how you're sometimes selling people things that they don't think they need.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's also like half of the sales process is also trying to figure out where the person is and inch them into.
Yeah. So
buying.
I can honestly say since 2005, I don't think I've sold people what they want. People don't want. I would say maybe 4 of the people that moved into one of my communities was actually really excited about the move. And I've moved in hundreds of people. It's not always easy. So I have had to sell something that people don't want.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times when you're in the sales situation, people want to spend a lot more, or they want, even though they don't need it.
Mm.
This is the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
People don't want anything, even though they need it. So you really have to flip that script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where it gets harder too. But I mean, I guess if you have a system in place that works and you know it works, because you have results,
Asking questions.
it's a little bit easier. Sweet. Well, those are great sales answers. That's, I think, a great definition and just recap of sales within, what was it, 12 minutes? Maybe? 10 minutes?
I've
Sales
been doing
in 10
this for a little while. Yeah.
Sales in 10 minutes.
Sales in 10 minutes. I've been doing this a little while. I love it. It's
Yeah. Honestly, half of it is just being a good people person, too. Like being able to chit chat about it and talk about it and being high energy, because a lot of people would just take your energy
yeah.
too. So I've watched salespeople, and they're basically really like I get energy from them because they're yelling at cameras and yelling at me. I'm like, ooh, I want to do this. I can go sell $1 billion yacht right now and make commissions off of this. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. But a lot of salespeople are high energy. But I think it definitely
you got to bring the positivity to
yeah,
it.
Yeah, I think it does. If you're getting into that profession, it does come down to who you are as a person. And it's not fit for some people. Some people wouldn't do well in it. Some people will. And I just think us making all these stereotypes from the get-go that it can be super hard is almost scaring people away from the beginning.
Yes. Well, again, I think people have this idea of sales is a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk to the salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
But it's bringing that high energy. It's bringing the positivity. As you said before, not everybody's suited for it.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, when I was doing certain things, I'm like, this is a great job. I get to walk around. I get to talk to all these people. I get to help this person. I'm bringing that person home. And I was thinking about it one day, and I went, there's no way my sister could ever do this. It's just not in her comfort zone.
Yeah.
So anybody can do it that wants to.
Mm-hmm.
But again, not everybody wants to, but I don't think people need to be afraid of it.
Mm-hmm.
So where my sister would never do what I do, walking the floors, talking to random people, that's not her thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when she finds something that she likes, she'll tell you, I'm not a salesperson. But when
yeah.
she finds
That's
something
me.
that she likes,
Yeah.
everybody in the world knows about it.
I can't sell certain things, but I can sell me like nobody's business. Like, because I have to do it, first of all, to make money. Because I'm selling a service. I'm basically selling me.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah,
so I can do that very well. But like certain things, like honestly, pest control, I don't want to sell it. I don't want to sell it. Seen people sell it; they're doing really great for them.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to dude that does it.
Yeah, that would be a problem for me. I'm terrified of spiders.
But I mean, it's them. I don't even think they're necessarily checking out spiders and hanging around spiders. Although they're just cold. They're just going door to door and selling it.
Okay.
But it's working for some people, and if it's working, it's working.
And power to them.
Great for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot of different parts of sales.
Yeah.
Like obviously, if you're a business owner, you're trying to sell yourself a lot. But sometimes a lot of businesses have their own sales, in-house sales.
Well, you don't have a business unless you're selling.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. So
everybody has to have sales.
And that's why there's always going to be jobs in sales. So
Correct.
if it's good if you're in college, if you need a job, a lot of entry-level jobs are sales because it's also a skill that everyone needs to know.
Yes. But everybody in the company is selling a part of the company at all times.
Mm-hmm.
So, in your accounting department, they still have to sell themselves because they have to do specific things.
Mm-hmm.
They need to get their help and resources from everybody else. So, it just everybody needs to be on that focus because they bring in the money.
Yeah. Well, heck, let's jump into your business name. Segue.
Good
Great
transition.
segue there. Transition. So business owner, marketing and sales.
Correct.
Consulting.
Correct. So I have a company. My company is called Empowered Coaching and Consulting. And I've talked about home care this whole time and home health, and that's really the segment that I stick with. But I am there to help people understand the sales process. Again, we sell things that people don't want. And I learned a long time ago that there are usually 4 pillars to any type of sale. Um, you've got your opening, your probing, your closing, your demonstration, all these different things. So I designed a professional referral program, and it's called HECK, HECK, HECK,
Why
professional
is it that?
referrals. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really, it's about finding that way. So HECK stands for Help, Easy, Care, No. So if you could do those four things, help someone, make it easy, show me care, and know them, if you could simply do those four things, you're going to be able to build a relationship that they're going to refer to you. I make it sound really easy, and it is, but there's a lot that goes into it. So that is one part of my company. When I talk about coaching, consulting, teaching how to build professional relationships. And then we have all different lines. I am a certified coach, so I work with companies when they want to bring in the DISC programs, which are behavioral programs. Don't ever be afraid of taking a behavioral test. You can't be right or wrong. It's the one thing I'm going to say to everybody. Just be you.
unless it's like a weird test and you come up with like, because we dug into these tests over quarantine. We found this like political test thing, and it was just like these questions were like all economic, but I think my roommate got like communist or something, and obviously he's not, but it was a really funny result. So
okay, so it's maybe not that.
Yeah, maybe not that, but there are
yeah.
definitely good tests out there.
Yeah.
And Myers-Briggs, Enneagram. A lot of people are using Enneagram. That's more popular one these days.
Right. There's a wonderful company here right in town called Forte.
Okay.
Forte Institute that is out of Wilmington that does these types of behavioral tests, and it's all about communication.
Interesting. I think a lot of that though is building brand, like building reputation behind behavioral tests.
Okay.
Because a lot of people, if they're doing one, they're like, okay, that's me. So, and I don't like that at all with doing behavior tests. I'm like, yes, I'm an Enneagram 7, but like I don't want that to encompass me. Yes, I like being busy to drown out my emotions, and yes, I like doing a lot of things, and I'm not always comfortable. I'm comfortable right now, okay? So usually I'm not comfortable where I am because there's another event going on that I'm like, I want to be at both. Okay. So that's why I'm continually to things, but me trying to be a better 7, I'm trying to be content with where I am. I have no other events going on right now, and I enjoy doing this podcast, so I'm content being here.
Well, thank you for being content.
Yes, it's my thing, so she's the guest. But yeah, I don't think with building the business that you said, like I've never heard of it. I don't know the credibility basically behind that either. So I guess you have to build, if you're going to do that, you have to build credibility behind those behavioral tests as well. Yeah,
and they're all very similar, and I think the big approach is what does it mean? So when I'm working with organizations, we're going to do, maybe it's a DISC assessment, maybe we're looking at leadership or learning style or motivation. We're going to do that as a group, and what it helps you understand is one, yourself, what motivates you, or what is your style of learning, communication, and listening, but it helps you understand how am I going to communicate with the other person. So if you have somebody on your team and you're going like this, when you bring in that DISC assessment, you can usually figure out why. You're both saying yes, but you're yelling at each other.
It's like me battling for attention with 3s. It's like I'll let the 3s have the floor because I know they need the attention, but I like attention too. Hey.
Don't we all? Yeah. I want recognition. Yes, I can be a people pleaser. We all know these things. Yeah. So you just work through them.
I just don't need to be the entertainer or the person in the room. What am I, the enthusiast? Yeah. I don't need to be the be the front person in the room, make sure everyone's noticing me. Yes, I do like that, but also like I can recognize.
You can step back from it.
I can recognize where I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, this is great. I love talking about honestly behavioral analysis, mental health, and entrepreneurship, and even in sales because it's so big right now, especially with just like sales, entrepreneurship, business being as hard as it can be.
Especially in this time of COVID, where you can't connect with the people that you used to. So so many of the entrepreneurs that are coming up and they've got these great ideas, and they're really wonderful. And I'm part of the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneur.
That's how we connected. That's
it.
Yep. That's how I posted on Give a Toss looking for guests, and
And I said, I'll do it.
I found like I found like 5 guests from it, so
That's
it's
awesome.
worked out so far.
Good.
But yes,
But
that's where we're connected.
It's a great group. It really is. And
I used to be a tenant there, and I'd still show up to see their Million Cups Zoom calls every Wednesday morning.
Okay.
With just hanging out with other entrepreneurs and hearing pitches and all.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I was a mentor for them for a little while, and I realized nobody sitting at the table really had sales experience. And I think we take so much time focusing on our product and what we're doing, and then you've got this great idea, and you go, okay, well, doesn't everybody want it? But we forgot to put it out there, and we forgot to talk about it, and you go, so what does it do? Oh, and it's a 20-minute thing, and you go, I don't know.
I brought this up, so I just had a student reach out to me interviewing me for her senior project, which I love. I love how students start emailing me. I'm like, they're like, recognize your business. I'm like, yes, cool. I'm only a year into it. It's great. But she asked me a ton of questions, like challenges related to business, like starting up, pandemic, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, challenges are expected. Like, I don't know that you thought, like, I didn't expect coronavirus to happen.
No,
I started my business last January. Heck, I didn't expect to have a coronavirus happen 2 months into me starting business. But I'm like, it's also a challenge, and it's expected.
Yes.
So there's like, as an entrepreneur, you got to be able to pivot and shift. And I'm like, it's just a new way for me to figure out how to do business during a pandemic. I'm like, it's a challenge, and I like it. I'm going to overcome it. But
and obviously you have. And I think right now, you know, with everything lifting, this is an amazing time for everybody to get back out there and rebrand themselves. And go, even if you've been in the industry for a while, so much has changed. You need to go back out there and reintroduce yourself. And for the new people that are coming out, this is a great time.
Yeah.
Because people are looking for the new solutions. Nobody's locked into their routine anymore.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a great time for salespeople, for marketers, for entrepreneurs, for anybody to be out there and say, hey, I've got a new product, I've got a new idea, I have a new process. Because nothing is routine anymore.
I want to go back to the CIE point, and how I brought up in the interview with the student. It was over email, so just me answering questions on email. But I said while I was in college, I just didn't feel like I had the resources available to do anything. So I was in an entrepreneurship major, and I just like, as a student, I was so adept to consuming info. I just didn't know beginning steps to do anything, mainly because there's just a capital issue because of the broke college student. So there's that. But also, like, I don't think we as entrepreneurs in the area market are the resources available enough to, like, yes, people do think they do a good job, and there's a lot of good resources out there. I just think there needs to be more and more marketing done to get students out there and help students. We're doing a good job. I think we're doing a good job, but also, like, I don't think there should be a minimum or a maximum. Like, there should be more and more. There's no hurt in making content to say, like, hey, like, if you're an entrepreneur major at UNTW and you have this idea, like, go network, go talk with people at CIE. Like, nobody's gonna, like, look at you weird for just rolling into CIE as a student or going to networking events as in college. I went to networking events in college to try to get a job. But, like, people are giving me, I'm still, like, one of the youngest people who hangs out there because I like networking. But there's no one's gonna, like, everyone's gonna give you creds for being there as young as you are.
Yeah.
But I think it's just being confident with going out there and just doing new things.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I would say I was even intimidated going in there because the level of professionalism and the mentors that everybody can tap into was outstanding. Yeah. I mean, I later found out that here in Wilmington,
we're the 91st top in the entrepreneurship ecosystem in, like, the world right now.
Yeah,
I learned that 2 weeks ago. Thanks, Gerard.
But we have so many mentors and consultants here that will give the information to you. And what I've learned, mostly being through CIE, was that people move down here to retire. And they've got all this knowledge, and they retire, and they play golf, and they have a good time, and they go swing, and they get bored. And then they go, oh, you know what? I want to do something else. And that is one of the ways that I found myself going there. I was getting very bored. I wanted to talk strategy. I wanted to hear about business and what people were doing, and I just felt away from everything. And it was, I believe it was Jerry Coleman that
Yep.
introduced me to it. So
Yeah,
what
we have a
great
lot of really cool
research.
people. I don't know him as well because I
It's a
wasn't
great resource.
as involved in Cape Fear Community College. But like even like Jim Roberts and his whole like investors group and there's some knowledge he gives and Laura, congrats on the new position for was it director of programs for Chamber of Commerce?
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congrats on that.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of people as in college student, you look at Tim Robbins and big name people, but I think it's really good and helpful if you see big name people within your own community too. And
I think that's a great point.
we can name people too who are entrepreneurs of the big companies in Wilmington, Live Oak, was it what Chip Mahan,
I'm not familiar.
Encino, PPD, people who own those businesses that are literally here and involved in
Yeah.
local things.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they all have big hearts for helping younger and college students and young entrepreneurs as well.
Absolutely.
But maybe it's seeing those people and try because you have more of a ability, I guess, contact them and reach out to them than a Gary Vee or a Tim Robbins or a.
And but they are so elite that it's unrealistic to just be thinking that. I was working with a coach because coaches normally have coaches.
Yeah.
And I was working with somebody and you know he had been working with Tim Robbins and he could afford to do that and be a student of his. Well, that's great. I can't. So I'll take the knowledge that you garnered and you can bring it to me.
It's almost like learning how to bootstrap entrepreneurship as a college student. But also like it just I don't know. I've had these thoughts for a while in that like what could I have done better as a student or why did I have these thoughts as a student? Mainly, I think it was just because of capital. Because I had these big ideas and I'm like, okay, I need 200. Like I don't have that. I literally have like $100 in my bank account. I can't. I don't even know where to start.
Right. And that is. What did I see yesterday? I saw something about maybe it's a new podcast that's coming out or a show that really talks about don't get everything set up. It doesn't need to be perfect. Get it out there first.
Yep.
I've
heard that a lot.
You don't need the office. You don't need the this. Just do it. And I had mentioned to you, I am new to building my business again. I had started my coaching consulting, and I fell back into corporate America. I left in November. I don't want to go back. I really want to build this company the way that I'm building it, and I'm doing it on all different levels. But I got into that. It's got to be perfect. And I have to have an office, and I have to have this, and I have to have cards and the website, and that's what I got focused on the first time. And this time, as I said, I'm in my Nike moment. I'm just doing it. And my conference calls that I've had that are posted on Facebook are ridiculous, and I can't wait to look back at them in a year and go, oh my God, look how unprofessional it was. But it doesn't matter now because it's just about getting yourself out there and be original, be who you are, because you don't want to copy somebody else. They're already doing it. Be original, be you.
Yeah. It's your competitive advantage too. If you're going to do it your own business, you got to be sort of different.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to copy somebody else. It doesn't matter. Stand out, be different.
Why don't you want to go back to corporate America?
Wow, that's big. I think people have good intentions quite often in corporate America, and I find that it doesn't get from the top down to the bottom. And I would really prefer to be in an area where being in business, being in management, and just about everything that I've done, I have a very different view of how to do that. As a executive director, I worked for my branch managers and the people in the field. They didn't work for me. I supported them to get them to success. I listened to what they needed and gave them what they needed instead of what corporate said we needed to do. That doesn't always bode well because corporate says, I want you to do do this.
Yeah.
So in some of the places that I've been, I've had wonderful opportunities. I do have to say, when I worked at Senior Bridge and Humana, we really had a great opportunity when I was the national sales trainer to flip the switch.
Mm-hmm.
And our marketing team they would put something beautiful together and they'd hand it out and go, here you go. This is what you're going to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And the business people that are in the field went, this is great, but this isn't what I need right now.
Yeah,
So
the typical issues between marketing and sales.
Exactly. So what we did is we took the top salesperson that wanted to do this in every region. I think we had 4 different regions, or maybe it was 6, I don't remember. And I brought them to a team, and they developed the marketing content, and we pushed that up. And it just started working so much better because instead of the marketing department having 15 different requests for 15 different people, they were getting the requests that the field really needed. And we made it so that the marketing team was really reporting to us and helping us and doing whatever. We blew it up. It was amazing. It became a really great relationship, and you could see the sales changing. So it's listening from the bottom and bringing it up to the top, and I don't think that happens enough. And
we do learn about that a little bit in college too, about hierarchy of businesses and like width, if they're wider, or there's more tiers, and then suddenly you just don't even hear things from one into another.
It happens all the time. And I also fell into some areas of healthcare that I wasn't as passionate about. So I think that was part of it also. I was very passionate about home care, assisted living, and when I got into these other companies, they were more of durable medical equipment. We weren't as close to the client. It was contract stuff and not sales. So it's time for me to step out of corporate and be able to take the knowledge that I have and share it on to a smaller, I don't want to say a smaller scale, but instead of in that massive corporate area, be able to bring that knowledge to the smaller groups, but en masse.
For me, it's just to me managing risk. I'm just young. Don't have a ton of risk for it yet, so I can at least try things, and if it fails, it fails.
And you guys have way more opportunity to do this than we older people did. And that is because of insurance. So when I was getting out of college, when I graduated, I didn't have insurance. And that was a big thing of going straight into that corporate type of thing. Now with those changes that are made of our kids being able to be under a parent's insurance until the age of 26, I think it gives you so much more flexibility to really find out, what you want to do safely.
And I've had support from them too. Thank the Lord, honestly, I need it. But I mean, I did work in a business for 6 months out of school, so I did at least have some money going into it. But versus, I've always thought of hey, it would have been better if I worked for 2 years than ended a business. But I also just didn't want to keep living in the same thing, because my goal as a while has been in businesses. So I just didn't want to keep living and being like day by day and being like, I could have started a business now, or I could have started a business now. I just didn't want to live in regret. So I did it. I done did it, y'all, and here we are. But
you also have so many different resources now.
Yes.
I mean, you have the internet. We're talking to hundreds of people right now. Hundreds of thousands of people can watch this. And I'm sorry, but there's nobody out there that...
If we get hundreds of thousands of views on this, there's 0 people watching currently. If you're listening or watching later on YouTube, make sure you like and follow, subscribe. We'll do everything you can. I'm trying to help the algorithm right now and talking about it. But if you're listening to this and you're 40 minutes in, thanks for committing to the podcast. I hope it's high energy and you like it. So make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. But yes, the resources. They're...
Yeah, you could do anything now. And school is so much different. When I went to school, you went and you had to learn and know, and back then they said knowledge is power. Well, it's so different now because you have everything, all the knowledge right in your little hand.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is look it up and know here's what the internet says.
Mm.
So it's very different. Now it's about sharing that knowledge
Mm-hmm.
rather than having the knowledge and that's your power.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the younger generation has a lot more energy to go out and say, you know what, I don't have to do the 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
I've got this little thing in my hand, and you know what, if I work better at midnight and I'm getting my job done, what does it matter?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's becoming a lot more results driven than punching the clock. And I think I think that is so beneficial to your generation, the younger generation, to really accomplish what they want, when they want, how they want, and enjoy life while they're doing it, because it's not suit and tie, here's the chain to the desk.
It's not like I didn't want to listen as a kid. I just didn't want to do what our culture's. Go to a good school, get a good job, build a family. It's the steps of life that we've had, and I do like the comfortable aspects of being in corporate America and have consistent income coming in, and it's
there
you
are
listen
a
to
lot
people,
of benefits to it.
Hamster wheel, whatever they call it, or rat race, whatever you call it. Versus entrepreneurship, it's a wild ride.
There's something to say about the stability of working for corporate America. You're going to wake up in the morning, you're going to go to work, you're going to get your paycheck, you're going to get your vacation days. If you're sick, you can take a day off, you're still going to get paid. So you've got your 401k, you have all of those types of things. So there is security in that. Sometimes you can put a little too much security in that, and all of a sudden it's gone one day. And that can be very scary. But I think for an entrepreneur, you're doing it backwards, where it's very scary. You don't know if you're going to get a paycheck from here to here, but then all of a sudden you build it.
Yeah, the potential.
And then it's yours, and it's not as though you just put in 10 years and everything's gone.
I have
more. You did the hard work, and now it's yours.
I have more confidence and more love of me making $1,000 from a client per month than a business just giving me $3K a salary and me making that. I enjoy doing all aspects of it, and the hard work of me actually doing sales and having to sell a client and make that money versus an employer just being like, okay, here you go.
My husband every day, he works for corporate America, and he goes, I just want my landscaping company back. I just wanted to close up shop and mow lawns. He was so happy when he did that. And that's, worked at that time. But now, 2 kids in college, we're getting older. That corporate looks pretty good right now.
Yeah.
And he's on vacation.
She was on the phone with, I guess, him before we started. I was like making sure it was on like an emergency and she needed to fly somewhere or something.
Well, it kind of is. It's a really nice place they're
at. She is here and missing meetings. So if the people that she's missing meetings to be here are listening, congrats. You've stumbled upon me. Thanks for watching or listening.
I will make sure that. So one of the groups that I'm missing right now is it's called ANEW, a Network Empowering Women, and it's a group of really strong women in the Hampstead area. If someone's interested in joining, you can look it up on Facebook, ANEW of Hampstead, and it really is a group of women supporting other women in their business and helping them be successful. And it's not just business owners. It's those of us that'll come to the table and say, you want to learn about sales? Sure. We've got insurance brokers, realtors, mortgage brokers, the owners of restaurants, the golf course owner. We've got me. What more do you want to say?
Nothing much more.
It's a great group, and then there's.
You said exclamation point me.
Me. So.
That's a good segue. We mentioned some things before we started the podcast. I'm like, hey, we gotta stop talking and mention it in the podcast. One of those was talking about the women and men in entrepreneurship, and how, like, for me, building a company, it's not something that I focus on a lot, but something I've noticed. In that women are getting a ton of recognition right now, and I'm going to talk to the camera here. It's not something I'm against. Okay, there are research, and women are a lot less in business than guys apparently. And I'm not putting anyone down saying this. I'm just saying that it seems like there's a lot of resources and marketing and things out there glorifying new women in business, and it's slightly making it harder for just a white male in business to succeed. And not to not succeed, but I'm just seeing a lot of just new things out there that are just different. And yeah, it's okay that I guess we're taking away. See, this is just an interesting subject. I'm just stumbling on words, but I don't even know what to say.
It is very interesting, and there are a lot of things to say. Men have been in business for so long, so much longer than women have been. So it creates that ease of entry and the friendship that men have already because they've been doing it for so long. But we still have to look at the idea that women, make 82 cents to every dollar that a man makes. So, that hasn't leveled out. And I do recognize what you're saying. And the reason why I can understand it, because I have a young son. And there is a lot of focus on women of, STEM programs, get women into STEM, into science, into math, and where areas we really didn't enter into. Now, I'm a little bit different because I love science. I have a degree in science. So, but I do hear what you're saying. And
I'm not trying to put anyone down saying this. I don't think I am. Because I'm recognizing both points of views. It's just me running a business and being a young entrepreneur. I notice a lot of things going on. And more than a person my age should, because I'm in marketing too. I just know consumer behavior. But like, I'm also battling other people too. I think marketing is.
Sure.
I think there's a lot of girls in marketing.
Women.
Women. Sorry. Women, girls, females. Yes, in marketing.
Or well, I won't go there with.
And then I'm battling them. I'm like, I don't even know how to compete. I guess I knew how to compete because we're businessy. It's a business because there's competition in business.
Correct.
But then I'm like, how if girls are making now businesses that are, or if women are making businesses that are marketing companies that are just all women now, like what am I doing as a guy who owns a one-person marketing company? Like, how do I compete against this and have competitive advantage? Yeah.
You be you. You still have a competitive advantage of. So I don't think that it needs to be male-female anymore. I think it needs to be skill set. Women have not even come close to leveling the ground on the opportunities that men have opposed to women. So you are seeing a lot more women in industries, in these marketing companies. There are a lot more women than there are men.
Yeah, that's
so,
true.
Even when you look at leadership these days, and I can speak from the sense of home care and home health care, majority of the industry is female. Yet, that top leadership is going to be male. So it's still very interesting. I have worked for some companies where we had a lot of very strong women in leadership. And I've worked for men, I've worked for women. I've been very successful working for both. I've been unsuccessful working for both. So I can't say, do I like working with men better or women better? It's not a male-female thing. It is a how do we work together thing. So I can name the two people I was most successful under was a gentleman and a
Maybe
female.
I'm jealous.
So
Maybe I'm just being jealous.
You could be.
Again, there's a magazine for women in business in Wilmington.
Yeah.
Not one for men. Not saying there should be, but
right. and
I want to be in it. Get me in it.
And I'm sure if you wrote an article, you could be in it.
Yeah. I've actually I emailed Greater Wilmington Business Journal like, hey, you should do a 30 under 30 for Wilmington, because there's a lot there. Because there's big people are doing 40 under 40. I'm like, hey, I want to raise more awareness for youth entrepreneurship around here. So I want to do a 30 under 30 too. But we'll get to there when we get there. But
the suggestion was made.
Cool. Yep.
Maybe it'll happen
Maybe
for
they'll
you.
hear it here, but I did email them.
It won't happen until you're 40, though.
It won't happen until I'm like, if it's 30 under 30, I would literally be 29. Great. The 24-year-old won't get into it. And that's what you'll see in 40 under 40s, too. You'll see people like 39 and 38 and 40 under 40s. Yeah. But that's an interesting, I love how we hit on this topic. Because I want to talk about it, but it's also sort of sensitive, and maybe people aren't bringing it up.
Yeah, it can be very sensitive, and I understand that. And I have to play both sides of the fence. I understand that it may not seem like there is a magazine for men.
Yeah.
But if you read business magazines, it's predominantly male focused. And to take one and make it female focused, I get it. I fully understand where
Mm-hmm.
you're coming from. I wish we could do away with the it has to be male focused, it has to be female focused, but I think
Mm-hmm.
right now we need a little bit
Yeah.
of that. And I'll speak out of the other
And,
side and say right
and
now I
there's
wish we
young
could just
too.
all be
Yeah.
people
Mm-hmm.
and not have to
Mm-hmm.
go all these different ways. That
Mm-hmm.
we should be able to come together as a community
Mm-hmm.
rather than splitting everything out.
Yeah, I almost think at some point we're focusing so much on different things that it's literally like I know how we're bringing like suppressing voices as a big topic around here, but we're almost focusing on too many so many different things that people are going to be suppressed no matter what. And like, I mean, yes, we do need to recognize different things going on and that there's history behind things and all. And you know, maybe it's just me being young and talking about this, and I don't know history very well, and all. Maybe
But I think
that's
that the
why
young
too.
voice is
Yeah.
very fair. Why don't
Hmm.
you know?
It's like I'm literally trying to figure out how to do business and compete against these girls who are getting so much new publicity now.
Okay, so
And it's not saying it's harder for me or easier for me. It's just I don't know the history behind it, and and maybe that's just I don't even know.
maybe they went after the resources, as you
Mhm.
mentioned when you were in college. You didn't realize the resources that were out there. You wish there were more.
Mhm.
Um, maybe this is an instance that they're reaching out to the resources that are
Yep.
there, and maybe there are some for you that you haven't found.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll throw it out there.
I don't know. It's just things I notice. As business, building a business, you know, I want to obviously put myself in a good position to have a business in a few years and keep going and keep chugging
Yeah.
along. And so,
So the one thing I can say is I remember this, I'll say story,
mhm,
and where we talk about the men having the benefit, not the benefit, but they have the connections.
mhm,
And the government has now said if you're going to do or build a government sponsored, let's say we're going to build a stadium,
mhm,
a certain percentage of the people that you have to hire need to be either women or minority owned or
Mhm.
something like that.
mhm,
So that's great. And the reason that to me, I kind of went, well, why does that have to be? Why can't
mhm,
people just go and get the business? Well, the people that are making the decisions on those are usually people that know each other for a very long time. And if we
Mhm.
look at our government,
mhm,
majority of our
Yep.
government are older white men.
Mhm.
And they're making these decisions that go, oh, well, my brother does this, and this one does this, and this
Mhm.
one. So those decisions as to who is going to build that stadium
Mhm.
are made kind of behind closed
Yeah.
doors where the opportunity is not there for other people to get in.
Mhm. And you know,
So
I think it is history too, in that how I think the guys used to be the ones making, going out and working, and the women maybe were the moms staying home. Like that's like pretty much history. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure a lot of people, yeah,
that was until the
yeah.
50s
And
and
now we're
60s
trying
and
now we're trying to flip that, and more people are there's now trying to be not really the difference between the two.
I don't know that we've flipped
Not flipped
that.
it, not flipped it. Not bad
But
terms there, but
yeah.
we're moving in the right direction more, I guess you could say, and trying to not have the line between
Yeah.
the two.
I think there are a few
genders.
things that come up in that though. Do both people want to work or do both people have to work?
Yeah.
You know, what is the financial situation these
Mhm.
days? Way back when, you could live on one salary.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's because we're such consumers now
Mhm.
that we have to have, and therefore we do
Mm.
need to have two people working.
Mhm.
Or is it, you know, could we scale it down and go back? But, you know, as I said, for me, I would not be happy as a permanent housewife and a stay-at-home mom.
Mhm.
I've had the opportunity. I've done it. I need to keep going. I want to build. I want to grow. I want to solve problems.
Mhm.
So that just wouldn't. Even if I had the opportunity, it's not for me.
Mhm.
So I think women have that a better ability to make a decision as to which way they want to go.
Mhm.
And I think men do also.
Mhm.
I think my husband is great with the kids.
Yeah.
You know.
I think we're doing great things and giving people more resources and opportunities to do things, men and women.
Mhm.
It's just the things I've noticed as a young guy entrepreneur, young white male guy entrepreneur. I said guy, male, same thing. Yeah, yeah, you get it. I just notice things and be like, oh, I'm sort of jealous of they're getting so much credibility, and
Yeah.
if I'm gonna compete against them in business, it's me competing against now agencies and people who have like 30 people under them, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can I build to that,
Mhm.
and how can I make that, but how can I compete against them now, but also how can I compete against, I don't want to say women, but
Well, you're competing
yeah,
against everybody,
yeah,
as you said. You're
yeah,
competing as a single person running your business. You're
mhm,
competing against companies that have 30 people.
mhm,
So that's
mhm,
that's where you have to find what makes you different and why people
yeah,
want to use you. Not just because you're a male competing against women,
mhm,
but what is your niche?
mhm,
What is it that makes you different? What is it that makes you stand out?
mhm.
And when you talk about marketing, more,
Yeah, we're near an airport.
um,
Poor
you know,
poor placement of a podcast place.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was a little, that
Yeah.
was a big jet that just went by.
Oh, we've had things shake the building before. That was a small jet.
Yeah.
We've had big things go by, and I'm like, I literally had to stop talking because of it once. But
Yeah. But so we're talking about marketing, and I don't know what the clear statistic is, but I think it's somewhere that 70% of women do the buying,
Mhm.
and have the buying power, yet marketing has been done by men.
Interesting.
So,
Mhm.
but what makes you different? What's your niche? And it's not going to
Mhm.
be male or female
Yeah.
that brings that out.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not.
So shouldn't be.
Hopefully it's not.
Well,
Please hire me.
one. Make your pitch.
Yeah. Hopefully it's a service and results based.
Hmm?
And I think results are it's a touchy subject for marketers because we're sort of doing branding and also marketing too.
Yes.
And we're honestly testing and advertising to the general population, and I'm not gonna be able to sell certain things to certain people if it's this
Hmm?
product because they just don't want it. And then that comes down to sales. So at that point, there's the marketing funnel, sales funnel, and on. But yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I'm glad we can talk about that. Honestly, I'm sweating. I'm sweating. I
I
just
better
don't.
make you feel that uncomfortable.
I just don't like talking about. I think it can get political and it can get interesting, and obviously like I'm a male, she's a female, so it's.
I am. I'm a female.
Yes.
Just,
Yes.
yeah, putting it out there.
Yes. But obviously there's gonna be like biases and stuff
Sure.
and all of that. But I think it's good to even talk about.
Yeah.
I think people are even scared to have these conversations, and including me.
But
But-
we shouldn't be,
Yeah.
because if we're scared of it, then there's something in the way.
Mhm.
We should be able to talk about it openly. And as I said,
And again, I'm not trying to put anyone down.
I have a 19-year-old
Yeah.
son, and there are plenty of times when you hear these things going on, and I see the benefits for women. I see this, and sometimes I look at him and I go, is it going to be harder for him
Mhm.
now?
Mhm.
Because there are benefits to
Mhm.
minorities, to women, to
Mhm.
all of these non-white male.
Yeah.
And I do see that.
I
But
think getting into school is getting harder too sometimes.
well,
Because they'll have to meet quotas, and I'm like, I'm not fitting any in that quota
Yeah.
at all.
and again, I don't
Yeah.
think quotas are right. We had that quick conversation
Mhm.
before. I don't know that quotas are right.
Mhm.
If you put a resume in, it should just be a resume. No male, no female. Just who is it? You do have to kind of do a hairy eyeball and make sure that
Yeah.
it's not like whatever. That if they're going to be in front of people, that they can be in front of people.
but then once you get into schools, it is a business too, and I know they're trying to obviously go in the right direction and not flip history, but we're trying to move in the right direction for different culture and not have the same oppression, I guess, as we had in the past.
Yeah, but I think it's so amazing being here in the United States
Mhm.
that people look and say, yes, there's still so much oppression. We do, we all have our prejudice.
Mhm.
We all do. It happens. We're
Mhm.
born with it. It's a way that we grow up.
Mhm.
It's because we don't understand where somebody else
I
comes
think-
from, and it
yes.
doesn't matter.
Yes, it's going into conversations and knowing what you say. Because I as a business owner, I try to not get political, but obviously,
Mhm.
like anything I say as a business owner now and forever, people will like and some people won't.
Correct.
And so you got to know if you're going into any conversation, it's hey, like people are gonna have biases, people are gonna have viewpoints
Sure.
that they might or may not change. So like you can say what you want, but don't expect everyone to listen or people to follow you, or
Correct.
you just got to know what you're going into. And a lot of people, I think, are getting don't necessarily have that when they start talking. They just start talking, and then they like people get defensive and
Sure, because we don't know where the other person's coming from.
yeah.
You know, you always, I'm sure you've heard the story of the gentleman sitting at the restaurant and his kids are going crazy.
Mm.
And the people around him are just so annoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, somebody walks up to him and says, "Man, you know, can't you control your kids? We're trying to enjoy our dinner."
Mm-hmm.
And his response is, "I'm sorry, we just came from my wife's funeral and I don't know what to do."
Yeah.
So you don't know everybody's story.
Wow,
You don't know their background.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to give everybody some space
Mm.
until they, you know, they take up that space and use it to hurt you or whatever. But
Yeah.
you know,
and that's what conversations are good.
I'm
too.
not. I try.
Yeah.
But I know if something happens and I make a
Mhm.
judgment. I don't know their story.
Mm-hmm.
We all do it because we look at everything through our lens.
Mm-hmm.
And
people are scared to come. Like I love it when people come up and be like, "Hey, if I was doing this something and it was in the wrong," and someone says like, "Hey, please control your kids," I'll be like, "I'm sorry, I didn't realize they were bugging you."
yeah,
Like people just won't come forward and tell me. I'm like, tell me if it's bugging you. Like I'll quit it on the spot. But and I guess it is sometimes like you're in general public too. But
I think we have to take responsibility for ourselves also. I know I think of a situation a few weeks ago. I was in a meeting and somebody stood up and made a statement and I corrected them.
Mm.
And said, well, actually, you know, blah, 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 these are the statistics, whatever. I don't know that I needed to do that at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So we went on and the meeting started to come to an end. And before it ended, in front of everybody that was at the meeting, I apologized to that person to say, you know what, I don't know that I should have done that. I'm sorry if that made you feel defensive or whatever.
I'm the first person to
But
apologize.
I made sure I did it in front of everybody. And it wasn't just to that one person. And I don't think it mattered, but that person later came back to me a day or two later, and I don't know them very well. We have since then become a little bit closer, but they thanked me and said, you know what, no one's ever done that for me before. You know, they just went on, and so I think we need to take responsibility for our statements, what we're doing, and maybe sometimes go back and say, oh, you know what. Maybe I should have done that, and let me go make sure that what I did was okay.
Yeah, I'm the first person to say sorry. I do not literally. It would bug the daylights out of me if somebody at least is like angry with me or has a gripe with me, and I will nip it in the bud where it is. Like I went off on someone the other day just because they were being young, and I'm like I may have said some things that weren't okay. And like literally 10 minutes later, I'm like, "Hey, I'm sorry. I'm like, I can't deal with this in my heart. I'm like, it's just not who I am. It was in the moment, and I'm sorry. But like, I'm the one person who I don't want to sleep on it too. I'm like gonna say I'm sorry, and if it was me who's in the fault, I'll own up to it.
How good are you at telling somebody else?
Sorry.
No, if somebody
if they're in the wrong?
if someo's in the wrong, how long does it take you to say, hey, you know? I really didn't appreciate that.
That's a good question.
You sit and stew on that one, don't you?
That's hard, yeah. Because I want to say, because then you don't know how they're gonna be. Like again, like you don't know what situation they're in. Like if they've had a bad day, and like if they want to somehow put it out on me, I have a really good self-esteem level, so I could take it. But maybe I shouldn't. But like if it helps them. I just want to know more. I guess would be the answer there, and like be like,
do you
hey,
ask?
I don't sometimes. I don't know. People don't really go off on me because they know I'm a great person. If people don't get I don't know. Yeah, if y'all can answer the question, make sure to put it in the comments on YouTube or Facebook or whatever. How do you deal with if somebody is, I guess, getting on your nerves? How would you come forward about it? How would you approach them about it?
Yeah.
Would that be the?
Well, I guess you know, you go both ways. You said you're the first one to say I'm sorry. You know, I think I did something wrong.
Yeah,
I said,
yeah.
But flip that, and if somebody did something to you, how quickly would you go back and say, hey, I really didn't appreciate that? Which way are you going to go on that one?
I'm pretty straightforward.
I
Maybe
think
maybe it's just me being a business owner though. Like I like things being precise and like to the point. And since I'm more of an adult than I was in college, I can be like, okay, hey, like I don't play around anymore. Like I want to get things done to get them done.
hmm
Maybe I'm good, but also I don't. There's no comparison for me. I don't know how to compare myself. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. This is an interesting conversation.
We definitely went in a few different directions.
This isn't sales
How
anymore.
did sales go?
This is not sales anymore. Yeah, but we've gone for a while, so I'm gonna try to keep it around here. Where I don't want to do a 4-hour podcast. Y'all. If you want to listen to a 4-hour podcast, so be it.
I'll come back another day.
Yeah, so it's a two-parter. But if somebody, and I always ask this question to everyone because this is content for other people. Obviously, like it's super fun to chit chat with other business professionals. From my end, but the main list is made for y'all and to gain just advice and experience and whatnot from other professionals. So, what advice do you have for people who are trying to get into sales, or maybe in college want to get into sales, or just don't know what they're doing? You got any advice for younger generations?
I do. If you want to get into sales, it's a real career.
Mm-hmm.
Just like anything else, you need to educate yourself. And I would say there are some really, really great books out there. I would think the top 2 books that I would read when it has to do with sales is Spin Selling
Mm-hmm.
and The Versatile Salesperson.
That's the acronym. Yeah, because you brought up heck. You made your own acronym.
I did.
Heck.
Heck, and when
spin is the one I learned in college, and I
Yes.
keep forgetting it because I don't think of the word spin every once in a while. But yeah.
So
spin.
when I come out with my book,
I agree
Heck,
with her.
or whatever it may be, and then of course I'll come back when I've got my website up. I will be saying I'm going to be doing a sales workshop.
Mm-hmm.
Probably next month.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be about a 7-day workshop, and just we'll go at lunchtime. I'll try not to do it on Thursday, so I don't take your clients. But we'll do about an hour at noontime, and I'm going to go through what heck is, what it means. So it'll be a free workshop for people that want to start understanding how to build professional relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I'm putting out there. I'll give you the information for whatever as soon as I get the website
I'll definitely
up
put
and
in
running.
the comments for things. That's a good call to action too if y'all are listening and want to get involved. I'll definitely check her out. But I took out I interrupted you in the middle of you giving advice. So what was the advice you were going to give to people?
The 2 books. The 2 books, top
reading.
2 books. I would Spin Selling, which is excellent. They have a workbook also that you can take out into the field, and The Versatile Salesperson. Both really, really good books to work from.
Any interesting question here? No, we're not finishing it quite yet.
He's breaking down the walls, people.
It's cheap.
Our
I made it.
COVID
I
wall.
DIY'd it. Yeah.
It's okay.
But
it works.
any future things? So I had the girl ask me like, hey, anything you see in the next 5 to 10 years in the marketing industry? I'm like, wow, that's big. I can answer a few things because a few things are very changing like this year that have gonna impact marketing forever. But anything that you see that will change in sales in the next 5-10 years future? Like you mentioned virtual selling, and so people now having to do like sales on Zoom.
Yeah, it's a good question because sales has changed so much just over the last year because we can't do that face to face. So it's going to be able to really learn and understand how to build a trusting relationship without being physically there with people. That's a good question. I have to think about that.
Okay. Well,
I mean, sales
she'll bring it up soon in her
problem.
content. You'll see a video that she'll make soon. She'll think of it one day and want to make a video on it because she's seen what I'm doing here. And she asked me, "How do I do this? How do I do this?" So you'll see her doing some StreamYards and some.
That won't look anywhere close to this or anywhere as professional.
Well, make sure to check her out. Thanks for tuning in again.
Thank you, everybody. It was so
Process
great to
of
be
a Profit podcast. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe. Do everything you can. It really would mean the world to me. Again, this is a business marketing entrepreneurship podcast. Thanks for tuning in.